Conservative radio show host Rush Limbaugh said Governor Jan Brewer is being, quote, bullied into vetoing the bill. Here's Rush.
The same-sex homosexual advocates want her to veto it on the basis of human rights, civil rights, gay rights, and what have you. The governor of Arizona is being bullied. She's being bullied by the homosexual lobby in Arizona and elsewhere.
Up front tonight, Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council. That's a group that supports the bill and has supported similar bills in at least 8 other states across the country. All right, Tony, what do you think about what Rush Limbaugh just said? Is Governor Brewer being bullied by the quote-unquote gay lobby in order to advance their agenda?
Well, Aaron, I think what's happened is the water has been muddied, clearly, no question about that. I think too many people have gone to the Nancy Pelosi School of Public Policy. They're going to dispose of this, then read it. One-page bill. It's pretty easy. You go back, it amends a 1999 law that essentially does 3 things. The major thing it does is it says you don't have to leave your faith within the walls of your church or your home. As a business person, it makes clear that you have religious freedoms as a business owner. It also sets in place, which is actually the opponent should support this, puts in place a clear test to make sure that these are orthodox, genuine religious beliefs. And so it would be very hard, as some have tried to portray this, that if you own an ice cream shop, you could deny serving someone who was a homosexual. Simply not true. You couldn't do that. There's no basis for that in religion. We're talking about marriages. We're talking about those ceremonies that really, when you participate in them as described in the package about being artistic, you're affirming of something that runs counter to your religious beliefs.
So you're saying I can't ban someone. I have the bill in front of me. It printed out to 2 pages for me, but basically saying that you can do this if the person's action or refusal to act is motivated by religious belief. So you're saying to me if someone could ban me from coming in if I was married to another woman, but not if I was simply a lesbian not married to that woman? It's
no,
gay marriage. That's your problem?
No, that is what it sets in place, is that this has to be a religious belief that is deeply held in it. You can't just come up and create a religion. You can't come up and say, I'm not going to serve somebody this food. And that would be inconsistent with a Christian worldview. Christians want to serve people. Where the issue is, and this is what happened in New Mexico, what drove this was that you had Lane Photography, a Christian photography company, that was sued for not photographing a same-sex wedding ceremony. And that's the issue here, is that the reason the RFRA of that state of New Mexico didn't cover it is because they were a business. It's the same thing right now with the HHS mandate that's going to be argued before the Supreme Court next month. Rasmussen polling a couple of months ago actually conducted a nationwide polling. 85% of Americans agree that a Christian photographer should not be forced to participate in a same-sex wedding. That's what this is about, is making sure that as an individual, when you enter the marketplace, you don't have to leave your religious freedom behind.
But as an individual, you can already do that. Someone could say to me, if I was getting married to another woman, just say no, and they don't have to give me the reason for doing that, right? But this is institutionalizing in law something that would not only enable you to do that, it would seem to me, but there are a lot of other things that religion may condone that I think we could all agree might be discriminatory to a lot of people. Right? I mean, people can do anything they want in the name of religion and say, oh, it's a deeply held conviction. I believe in this. It just happens to be hateful. So now it's protected?
Aaron, I have to disagree with you, and that's why the third component of this amendment is important, is that it puts in place that this has to be not just some kind of belief you pull in out of the sky. You've got to be able to defend that belief, and it sets up a standard which it's not a given. You would have this defense, but it's not a given when you go into court. You would have to prove that you have a genuine religious conviction that prevents you from participating in this. You can't say that about not serving someone. I'm only speaking for the Christian faith. You can't say that because there's no biblical basis for that. In fact, we're told to serve those who oppose us. It comes down to the issue of weddings, of those things which Christians and other people of faith hold to be sacred. And to be forced to participate in that, I have to say, Aaron, that is the height of being un-American.
I just don't understand how anyone was forcing you to do it. That's what I don't get, right? I mean, you can always say no to that, right? I got married and I called someone and said, can you take photographs of my wedding? He could have said no without giving me any reason. Now you have this law that enables him to say, because you're a lesbian. That's what I don't understand.
That's not the case. That's what's happened. That's why this is taking place. Colorado, a baker and even threatened potentially with jail until they changed the law for not baking a cake. Elaine Photography fined, went all the way to the state Supreme Court, and because they were a business, they didn't have the individual protections. They're appealing to the United States Supreme Court. So your point, you're actually agreeing that we ought to have the ability to say no. That ability is not there right now because they're a business and not an individual.
I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying that we have it on an individual basis. I don't want to confuse that with agreeing that we should or shouldn't.
But that's the point of this, is it's allowing them to take it into the marketplace. Right now they can't take it into the marketplace.
All right. Well, Tony, thank you, and I appreciate